Alrighty, just to recap Saturday, sometimes it's tough when you're just in the middle of the game and then you try to speak on it at the press conference and then you watch the tape and you're like, well, that wasn't necessarily true. I think kind of how I felt after the game held true when I watched the tape. We made too many self-inflicted wounds, too many errors on our part to ultimately put ourselves in position not to win the game. We wasn't for a lack of effort. We played hard. We didn't play very smart. Couple critical third down penalties, jumping off sides, 3rd and 26, jumping off side, 3rd and 13, which in turn then they can throw the ball deep. We get a DPI on one of them. They catch the other one. Those are difficult situations. Our inability to create turnovers showed up when the ball was loose. We got it loose. We didn't recover it. Those are two really glaring things for us on the defensive side of the ball. I thought offensively we had an opportunity in the third quarter after the 4th down stop to really extend the lead. We didn't take advantage of that. We got stopped on a 3rd and short, 4th and short scenario there. So all in all, self-inflicted wounds, and that is the most frustrating part because I think that we have a standard here and a style of play that we take pride in. We didn't play to that standard. We didn't play to the level of execution that is acceptable, and that's our responsibility. Our responsibility is to meet that standard and exceed it. We didn't do that Saturday, and in the end, we let them hang around, and ultimately they came out victorious. So that's that in a nutshell. Obviously, we got a big game this week to get back on track coming home. There's a lot of football left in Big 12 play. We know that. We got to take care of our business, and that starts Saturday at home against a really good team who's getting better week by week. I think Coach Brown and West Virginia, you can see the progress they're making. They've got a lot of transfers. All those guys are getting better, so we've got our work cut out for us this week at 6:30.
Start here on the left, Danny.
I'm Steve, just talking about those self-inflicted wounds. Who is that on? Is that on the coaches? Is that on the players? Is that everybody?
That's on all of us. We all take responsibility in that. At the end of the day, it's our job to put our players in the best position to be successful. And then ultimately, when you gain the trust of us to put you out there to go do it, then it's your job to go execute. So ultimately, that falls on me, but then it's our staff, and then it goes to the players. We all take responsibility in it.
On your right, Ed.
Coach, anything new in the quarterback situation after today's practice? Anything to report about what we'll see Saturday night?
It's still up in the air. They all practiced today. Like I said, they practiced last week. I think we'll know more as the week goes on.
Far left, Jeff.
Sark, you talked after the game about this program developing that killer instinct to go finish teams off. Where this program is in that process, what is the next step? Is it actually, are you at the point where it actually just needs to happen, or where are you at in that process?
I think it actually has to happen. I think that there, at some point in there, you gain confidence from doing it. And ultimately, hopefully we continue to put ourselves in that position. That means we're playing pretty good football. And then naturally, once you can do it once, you can do it twice, you gain confidence in how to go do it. So it just has to happen. We got to keep working at it. It's not for lack of effort on anybody's part, but we got to continue to push towards that and get a sense for what it feels like by doing it.
In the middle, Kirk.
Yeah, why would you say a year and a half into your tenure here the team isn't better right now? Are you planning any changes with starting lineup or staff?
I think we are better. I know sometimes the results don't look that way, but I do think we're a better football team. I have a lot of confidence in the work that the players, the coaches have put into this. Sometimes it's easy to look at the result and think, oh, we're not better. But I see a lot of improvement on where we're at. Naturally, the consistency factor is critical, and we can't afford to have lapses in our consistency in play, in our preparation, or we'll get the result that we had. So I feel good about where we're at as a program, but we got to put it out there on the field every Saturday.
Stay in the middle, center.
Hey, Steve, your best player fumbled at a critical time. He's the most positive guy on the team. How well did his teammates do in picking him up? Because I know no one wants it more than Bijan.
No, I think, I don't think anybody faults Bijan's effort or intent or anything that he does. And I think naturally, the way he practices, the way he goes about his business on and off the field, I think there was a lot of empathy for him. And that's what great teams do. They pick each other up, and I think our guys did that. That's not the reason we lost the game. It's easy to point out that one play, but there was multiple plays that led to us getting into that position and into that situation. So, but I think the team did a nice job of picking it back up, and Bijan got right back to work today, doing what he does, practicing his tail off.
On your right, Coach.
Coach wanted to see just kind of from an injury update standpoint, anything on Xavier Worthy, and then hadn't asked you about Troy O'Meary in a while, but how's his progress going? And then I have a second question after that.
Okay. Injury-wise, Morrow was practicing again today, so hopefully we can get him back Saturday. Xavier's day-to-day, again, nothing structural from X-ray or anything. I think, at some point this week we'll get him back and what that looks like. And Troy's making good progress. I think he's coming along well. He's practicing better than he ever has since I've been here, so all those are positives.
Okay, and then when you looked at the tape and evaluated, had more time to look at it, when you were up 31-17, what do you think happened, after that point? Was it an execution thing? Do you feel like as a play caller you could have done something different? Just kind of your evaluation. I
always look at me first. I think that's the responsibility I have, is looking at me from a motivational standpoint, from a play call standpoint, from an execution standpoint, making sure that I'm trying to put the players in the best position to be successful. Naturally, I'm always looking at things of, man, could I have done something different here or there? And there's always plays I'm like, I should have maybe called this or could have done that. No, I've never felt like I've called a good play that didn't work, So you're always thinking, well, it didn't work. Maybe I should have called something better. So inevitably, you look at it and you say to yourself, man, what could we have done different? I think, one, play call wise. Two, I would have loved for the execution to have been a little better. But I got to make sure that I'm putting the players in the best position to be successful.
In the middle, Roger.
Sark, the fourth down thing, whether you're choosing to go for it or other teams are choosing to go for it, was a high number. They'd only gone for it 7 times before. How deflating is that for a defense? Because you think, you get them to fourth down, you're going to get off the field, and then, to give up another scoring opportunity.
Well, I think that's where the trend of the game is going. I think a lot of people nowadays are relying on analytics, and the analytics are telling people to go more often, especially if you're in a position where maybe you need the more possessions to try to win the game. So we understand that. We recognize that. I mean, you recognize where there's 4-down territory on the field. It's a different game that way if you can take advantage of it and get those stops and give yourself really good field position to ultimately go score. Like we had 2 huge 4th down stops, one in the fringe area, but we didn't take advantage of it, and one negating a touchdown down on our own goal line. We didn't take advantage of it. We never flipped the field. So that's the part of team football that matters. We have to take advantage of those opportunities when we get those stops. I think defensively, a few of those 4th downs we would love to have back, because I think everybody would tell you we probably should have made the play, and we didn't. So that's the growth part that we need to understand of when it's 3rd down, possible 4 down, what the 4 down looks like, and then how to get yourself off the field on 4th down and how impactful it can be. But I think that's a little bit of the nature of football right now at every level. You're seeing more people in the NFL going for it on 4th down. It's happening more at our level. So I just think that's the trend of where it's going.
On your left, Coach, Ryan.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned there was guys picking up Bijan after the fumble. Was there a main player in the locker room that did that, or was it a group of guys just kind of keeping their heads up after the game and being that leader?
Well, I think, one, we've got a really strong running back room with Roschon Johnson, obviously with Bijan, with Keelan, Jonathan Brooks, Blue. I think those guys naturally gravitate to one another because they're in there together. I think Coach Choice does a great job of picking those guys up. But I think it was just the entire team that did it. And nobody likes to lose, man. It's not fun at all. It's not fun for us. I don't think any of us slept well Saturday night. Everybody's still a little pissed off today, quite frankly. But I think we naturally, we gravitate to those that we love, and we love everybody on our team, and we try to pick each other up so that they can continue to grow and get better and ultimately play at a high level come next Saturday.
On your far left, Chip.
Steve, West Virginia's run defense is, on paper better than Texas Tech's. Talk about how your interior offensive line did in trying to create running room, and then defensively, the crossing routes, and how Price was so successful. Was there an adjustment, or is there an adjustment that needs to be made?
I think the interior-wise, I thought for the most part, we blocked pretty well in the run game. We had some critical things that didn't get blocked well at some critical moments of the game, which is unfortunate, that we just didn't make those blocks at big moments. They played well. Their defensive line played well from Tech. I give them credit. Their players did a nice job when they were slanting and moving to create some negative plays. I think this week, very similar to last week, these guys have a good front. They've got good players, but they also dedicate themselves to stopping the run with safeties and linebackers. There's a lot of movement involved. So clearly we've got to be prepared for that movement and try to negate the negative runs. We got to get our runs started to try to get our runners to the second level, because when we can do that, they're obviously really special players. The crossing route stuff, I think what was interesting is there was times we played it really well and others times we didn't. And, we never noticed the times we play it well because the ball doesn't get thrown there. I think there's got to be a level of consistency in those things. That's the ultimate goal, right, is that you can negate it completely. We didn't do a good enough job last week. It's going to show itself again this week. West Virginia's similar style offensively, so we've got to do a good job of taking care of those things.
On your far right, Joe.
Kind of playing off what you just said, Neil Brown and Graham Harrell from the Leach tree.
Yep.
You've had some quick passing attacks do pretty well against your defense. What's the adjustment you need to make this week?
Well, I think one of the keys is, I felt like looking at the tape, we weren't in sync enough with our pressure package and our coverage. For whatever reason, the way we had been playing pass defense kind of early in the year, which was a lot tighter, a lot more aggressive, a lot more confident, it didn't feel that way Saturday. So although we were getting home with some of our pressures and line games, the quarterback still had enough time to get the ball out because we weren't tight enough on coverages. There were times that we did play it that way and we had a lot of success. So we got to get those two things in sync, and we got to trust our ability to cover people in tight coverage.
Over here on your far left, Nick.
Yeah, Steve, just now that you had a chance to look at the tape, how would you evaluate Hudson's performance, and especially through his last two starts? Have you seen him improve in some areas, and there are other areas that maybe he's deficient in you'd like him to work on? And then also, I'm sure you saw the video of maybe it looked like a fan or a student colliding with one of your players on the field after the game. Do you have any comment on that, and have you reached out to Tech about that situation?
Okay. I thought Hudson played pretty well. I thought it was a gutsy performance. I know he'd love to have the interception back. I think there's probably a handful of plays, 3 to 5 plays that he would love to have back. But definitely played well enough for us to go win the ball game. But like I said, I think he's capable of more. Everybody wants to try to play perfect, and so does he. So the standard is a standard. So I think moving forward, I think there's still more room for growth for him as he continues to play. I wouldn't call the fan running into our player. I think the fan went and knocked our player down. Obviously, those are tough situations. I love the pageantry of college football. When fans rush the field, it's dangerous for us as coaches on both sides. It's dangerous for the players. It's an unfortunate situation. I give Ovi a lot of credit. I thought he showed great poise and composure. That could have turned into an ugly situation. I thought he handled himself well. But no, I have not reached out to Tech. Our administration may have, but my focus is on our team and getting us better and ready to play.
Stay on the left, Danny.
Steve, sticking on that, what is the protocol for getting your guys off the field as quickly as possible in a situation like that? And is that addressed with the guys? Because as you said, if Ovi had wanted to, that could have been a lot worse.
The protocol is we just try to usher them off the field as best we can. I think ultimately, we want to have great sportsmanship. And I wanted to make it a point to go shake Coach McGuire's hand, and he got to me. I'm a little bit more fortunate. I'm surrounded by police officers. Our players don't all have police officers around them. Our strength staff tries to get them off the field, but there is a level of sportsmanship that you go shake the man's hand that you just competed against. And so we try to do those things. It's obviously they're dangerous situations when fans come on the field, and hey, I don't blame them for rushing the field. That's part of it. When you get a victory like they got. But again, if we can find a better way for safety for everybody involved, I think that's that's a good thing. I think that's why some other conferences have pretty significant fines if you rush the court or if you rush the field in football to try to eliminate some of that stuff. So, again, hey, that was a good win for them. They rushed the field. Hopefully we can take care of our players and keep them out of some of those dangerous situations.
In the middle, John.
Coach, how does excuse my voice, I was yelling at y'all during Saturday, but how does a coach help guys develop a killer instinct, or is it something they just have to have?
No, I think you work on it. I think you talk to it. I think you point it out in the moment and what it looks like and how it looks. I think you try to give them living examples, not just from us, but maybe from other teams, other situations, NFL, whatever that looks like. But it's a constant progress of working towards that. And then you really got to celebrate it when it happens so that they know what it feels like and what it looks like.
In the middle, Kirk.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you about adjustments. Tech, obviously, you went to that hurry-up tempo and had some success with that. Do you think, in retrospect, and moving forward, she should run Hudson more because he had some success there? Does Bijan get enough touches?
I don't think them going to the tempo was really new. That's what they do. I think that's who they are. I thought they did a good job kind of changing speeds on us, changing personnel groupings, using some tempo, getting in and out. They had a nice plan that way. But the tempo was not a new idea. Like we were in preparation for that. The hard part, Hudson is an excellent runner. He's not 100%, and that's the hard part as a coach of making sure that, you're doing what's best for your team, but also doing what's best for the individual players to give them their opportunities. So, hindsight's 20/20. Maybe I could have had a couple other run ops for him. We're not completely healthy behind him either. So, not to make an excuse, but you got to try to do what's best for your team in that game and in that moment. As far as Bijan, I think we ran 60 plays in the game. I think he got 17 touches. So if he's getting a third of the touches, roughly, certain situations play out the way they do. Again, that's about the right number. Right around 20 to 25 is what I've always said with him. This game happened to be 17. There's going to be other games that are going to be closer to 30. The games go the way they go. But naturally, it never hurts us to try to get him the ball. As we know, there's a lot of attention that he garners. And so sometimes other people create opportunities for themselves because of the attention he gets.
And Keelan had so much success on that opening drive. If he didn't go back to him again, particular reason.
Well, it's just more personnel grouping of the plan. We can only practice so much throughout the week of as many plays as we can get. And that was more of a 3 running back package that we had on the field to start the game. We went to it a few more times in game. There were some opportunities for him. The ball just didn't come his way. But Keelan's a really good player. He does a lot for us, not just on offense, but on special teams. Obviously, Roshan as well and Bijan. So it's a really good room. We got good players, and trying to find ways to get them the ball is important.
Stay in the middle, Jeff.
Coach, you mentioned those living examples of the killer instinct on other teams, NFL teams. How often do you show your team examples of other squads, and do you have like go-tos that you use often?
What I try to do is, especially in training camp, we try to show different examples of all sorts of parts of the game. It could be a 2-minute drill. It could be an end of the game scenario. It could be a 4th down where you can get that stop or make that play, and understanding the game of football. So it's not always just isolated to the killer instinct aspect of it. We try to teach the game at a really high level and what it looks like and the impact that it has. And so I think in some areas we've done a great job. I think our 2-minute drill has been tremendous this year, and I don't want to take that away from our offense, because I think we've had 6 of those, 4 at the end of the first halves, and then the last one there at the end of the game. We've operated it at a high level. So there's aspects of our game that we've really improved upon. This one is just so glaring that our ability to close games out when we have control of those games moving forward this season is going to be critical to our success. And so now that's really magnified on where we're at. It's going to take a lot of our focus and a lot of our attention.
In the middle, Roger.
Steve, going on the road for the first time, the message was about, us against the world. You come home, you expect to play well at home, but do you have to guard and coach these guys not just to assume you're going to play well because you're back home?
I'm not guarding against it, and I don't think the players are. I think that we very intent on coming out and playing our brand, our style of football Saturday with really good focus practice, physical, fast game. We've got a lot of work to do to get ourselves to that point, but we're not taking anything for granted. We need to come out and play well and play our style of football against a good opponent Saturday.
On your far right, Joe.
I know you mentioned Wildcats, not something you major in, but aside from maybe throwing a pass in there, what are some things you can do to mix that up? Because it seemed like they keyed on it pretty well on Saturday.
I didn't love the way we executed it. I think that we could have executed better in that scenario when we got in Wildcat. We've got a lot of variety as it pertains to Wildcat. Everybody assumes Wildcat is the same because the running back's at quarterback. But the reality of it is there's a lot of different formations we're using, a lot of different personnel groupings we're using out of it. I think that package has been good to us and will continue to be good to us. I would have loved to have made the fourth down stop that they made on us. But outside of that, it's been very productive for us in the first 4 games, and we'll continue to lean on it.